All right, welcome back to the channel. So, Floyd Mayweather Jr. was recently in an interview, and he said that Gervonta Davis is still his fighter. So, I am definitely going to break this down to y'all. Let's talk about it in this video. King Jr. got another video for y'all. Please sure that you like and subscribe to the channel, and also share the video to get all the latest boxing news, and be sure to hit that bell icon to always stay notified as soon as I release the news and comes out. With that being said, guys, I want to give a happy shout out to all you guys. Happy 4th of July, and I hope you guys are enjoying time with your families. Enjoy. I'm not too crazy about the 4th of July, but happy 4th of July to everybody. So let's get into this. Floyd Mayweather was recently in an interview, and he says that Gervonta Davis is still his fighter, and he's still with Mayweather Promotions. So basically, according to Coach Calvin Ford, that Gervonta Tank Davis has not signed with Mayweather Promotions, and Gervonta Tank Davis is seeking the big fights because he basically put all the blame out on Floyd Mayweather and Leonard Ellaby about how those guys has not made the big fights. They just want to make these certain fights to keep all the money in house. And so now Floyd Mayweather is saying that, hey, Gervonta Davis is still my fighter. And he was recently in an interview talking about Gervonta Tank Davis in his future. And also he was talking about Devin Haney as well, on how Devin Haney has called out Gervonta Tank Davis as well. And he also tells Devin Haney, look, you don't need to be focused on Gervonta Tank Davis right now. You need to be focused on George Kambosos Jr. and honor that rematch clause. And also he told him that George Kambosos Jr., he doesn't need to fight him in this city, in this country again. He needs to fight him in the States, where he could be on neutral ground, whatever the case may be. It's not neutral ground, but it's Devin Haney, since he has all the belts, he should be allowed to fight in his own country as well. And he was also asked about the comments of Shakur Stevenson as well, on how they're not treating them unfairly, and he always throw a thing out there where he wants to sign fighters and stuff. Well, first of all, Shakur Stevenson's parents is not going to let you sign with him, because we know that you're not going to be able to give Shakur Stevenson the big fights. But Floyd Mayweather, in my opinion, does build up fighters very, very well. It's just the fact of the matter is that he doesn't have time to really build up fighters if they are special. Floyd really only cares about special fighters, in my opinion. I believe that's everybody will agree with me on that. Floyd Mayweather just cares about a certain type of fighter. If you get knockouts or whatever the case may be, which your style ain't so exciting, I don't think Floyd would care about it. That's just my opinion at the end of the day. But we know that Devin Haney and Gervonta Tank Davis both want to fight each other. We know that Gervonta Tank Davis was kind of mad that Devin Haney says that if you ain't going to make the big fights, why leave Floyd Mayweather, and you can just stay loyal to Floyd since you're not going to make these big fights. And Gervonta Tank Davis didn't like that. He said, since you talking crazy, how about I fight you next? And the only fight that Gervonta Tank Davis is seeking is Devin Haney at this point. But Gervonta Tank Davis is throwing a smoke screen because Devin Haney has to honor his rematch clause as well. Shout out to Fanon International Boxing for dissecting Bill Haney this morning. I'm not discrediting Bill Haney, but he was asking Bill Haney direct questions about what are they going to do on October. Apparently, Bill Haney says that Devin Haney will be returning in the ring in October, and a lot of people are lingering to that Devin Haney will basically have to fight George Kambosos Jr. But according to Bill Haney, that they do not have to fight George Kambosos Jr. But they might as well fight George Kambosos Jr. and just honor the rematch clause. But according to Bob Arum and Top Rank, they are not interested in that fight as well, because why put Devin Haney and George Kambosos Jr. again and battle him in his own country, and he's just going to embarrass him the thing again. And we all know that George Kambosos Jr. has gotten $10 million, which he got the highest purse in the lightweight division, and we know that Devin Haney gets paid high, and we know that Gervonta Tank Davis gets high, so those guys get pretty big paychecks at the end of the day. And since these guys were talking about WBA mandatories and stuff like that, maybe Gervonta Tank Davis should activate the WBA mandatory and he'll get the fight. Well, first of all, if Gervonta Tank Davis really wanted to fight, he could do that, but get this, Devin Haney has all the belts, and Gervonta Tank Davis wants to fight. But Gervonta Tank Davis already says, look, I'm not fighting you with those belts. He even told George Kambosos the same thing when he had the unified champion. He says, look, I'll fight George Kambosos Jr. without the belts. So Gervonta Tank Davis, it doesn't sound like he's ducking. It's just the fact of the matter that he does not want to pay sanction and body fees. And Devin Haney is on record stating that he will fight Gervonta Tank Davis without the belts and stuff like that. And also shout out to Bill Haney as well. Bill Haney also says that they do not have to be obligated contractually to fight George Kambosos Jr. if they want to, because George Kambosos Jr. is just fighting for the belts. So what Bill Haney has stated that they do not have to fight George Kambosos Jr. And also they could go ahead and move up to 140, vacate the belts. Well, really they can stay at 135 or move up to 140. They can vacate those belts, and the fight between Gervonta Tank Davis and Devin Haney could happen, because both of those guys, look, Gervonta said he'll throw that regular belt in the trash, and Devin Haney said he'll throw that all those undisputed belts in the trash to get the fight with Gervonta Tank Davis. I think that's a smart way. I don't think both fighters are ducking. I think both fighters really want to fight each other. They've been at each other's necks and throat. I like both guys. You guys already know I'm riding with the Dream, Devin the Dream Haney. Devin Haney's an exceptional fighter. I'm not discrediting Tank or anything. I think Tank has the equalizer to put anybody to sleep. And I already said this before. If Devin Haney gets caught, Devin Haney could potentially get knocked out. Now, if Devin Haney fought the way he fought George Kambosos Jr. in Australia, make it a very, very boring fight, make Tank frustrated, make him so frustrated that Tank get out of line and throw a few punches that he usually doesn't throw, I think that Devin Haney would be successful against Gervonta Tank Davis. But at the end, that's just my opinion. According to all these guys saying that Gervonta Tank Davis basically doesn't want the fight, or whatever the case may be, Devin Haney doesn't want the fight. Well, first of all, both of these guys can make the fight, because either one guy can make it in a situation that they can both vacate their belts. Now, Bob Arum says that he's just looking for the big fights for Devin Haney since he's the man at the division. And Bob Arum already stated that he does not want to make that fight with George Kambosos Jr. because they have lost extremely lots of money on this fight. And I have to agree with Bob Arum on this as well. You guys shouldn't make this fight, because this fight, Devin Haney is just going to simply wash George Kambosos Jr. once again. So if the situation does come up with Gervonta Tank Davis, where people were saying that Devin Haney's ducking Gervonta Tank Davis, he doesn't really want the fight. Well, it's the other way around, because Devin Haney already says he will drop the belts to fight Gervonta Tank Davis, because people are saying that Devin Haney is contractually obligated to fight George Kambosos Jr. Let me say this again. He is not contractually obligated to fight George Kambosos Jr. He can honor the rematch clause, but get the catch. He can honor it by fighting him for the belts. We all know if Devin Haney drops the belts right now, the belts will go all the way scrambled, and George Kambosos Jr. will have his opportunity to win the belts back, but he doesn't have to fight George Kambosos Jr. whatsoever. All he has to do, if he really wants to, he can keep the belts at 135 and fight Gervonta Tank Davis at 140, but I don't think the sanctioned bodies are going to allow him to do that, because he's got to honor that rematch clause. But Devin Haney doesn't have to do it, because according to what Bill Haney has told on Fanon International Boxing Channel, they can go ahead and fight Gervonta Tank Davis at 140 if they are comfortable, because George Kambosos Jr. is only obligated to fight for the belt. So with that being said, guys, Floyd Mayweather says that Gervonta Tank Davis is still my fighter, and Devin Haney needs to focus on fighting George Kambosos Jr. in his own country since he's the champ, and then maybe we'll talk. So with that being said, guys, it is what it is. Make sure you like, subscribe, and comment. This is your boy King Jr. I'm out of here. Peace.